start presenting my screen. I have a bunch of slides that should be relevant. First of all, let me just try and present now. Window. So can you guys see my screen? Just respond in the chat again. Okay. All right. Before I start the presentation, maybe I just ask some of you to respond in the chat what you'd want, or when I finish my presentation, what you'd hope to have learned about building a career in data or in all the different roles and that sort of thing. So I just want to see a snapshot of what you guys expect and make sure that I cover majority of it. So feel free to, even as I go on to present, you can issue your questions in the chat box. I know there's an info section at the end, about 15 minutes, if I'm not wrong. But yes, so feel free to do that. All right. Let me just put it in a slideshow. So my name is Kigen Tembu. I am currently a data scientist at a digital financial institution called Musoni. Before that, I was in pharmaceutical industry. Before that, I worked at what you'd call an internet platform business. Yes, so I've been around for maybe the last 6 years, moving on as the world of data evolved to what it is right now. I still believe there is more growth than what you're seeing now. This has been accelerated primarily by what I think is Corona. Yeah, so yes, that's basically my work history. The tools I use, majorly in my day-to-day work right now is R. Yeah, before that, I dabbed in a bit of SAS, Python, yes, and yeah, the normal other tools. You can't avoid your spreadsheets. So this is just a brief overview of the tools that I use on a day-to-day basis. And maybe, yes, you'll have questions regarding that. So when we talk about building a career in data, I first of all just thought about maybe showing you on how, on a day-to-day basis, how the typical data workflow is, or how it works in terms of an organization and that sort of thing. So we primarily work with what we call these data projects. So most data roles will revolve around a certain project. So there's usually the first step. So usually a business question or a business problem. So assume you're working for an organization that is for profit in this case. So yes, majority of my experience has been in for-profit organizations. They work slightly different than your typical non-profits. So an example of a non-profit is, say, the UN or a research institutions where they get grants to do certain research and that sort of thing. And then your typical for-profit organizations are commercial banks, insurance companies. These are the major. Most of the organizations are for-profit. So they're slightly different, and how data teams are organized in that sense. So typically we have, now let's look at an organization that is typically for-profit. So you have senior management, and they're running a business, and they have a business question or a problem. I'll give you, say, an example of a social media platform. So let's say we are working in the data team of Facebook or Instagram, that sort of thing. So they have a question or a problem. So the senior management or the typical lead might come with those people called chief strategy officers or the sort. There's usually somebody in the organization whose work is to look at what problems the business is facing and can it be answered by the data we have in our platform. So a typical question, maybe say for a social media thing is, let's say example of we want to add a dislike button, say a dislike button to our platform. So instead of always having likes, let's also have a dislike buttons. So I think YouTube has a dislike button, but Facebook doesn't have a dislike button. So let's say they're thinking about that. So they're like, okay, what would be the response of this by our users? Will it drive up engagement? So typically you need to define, say, your results, the results first, or what you're going to measure. So in the case of, say, a social media platform, it might be, how do we measure increased customer engagement because of what we'd say is a new product that we're launching. So we want to put the dislike button, and we want to measure how are we going to measure if it's effective? How are users engaging more with in the platform because of that button? So typically this is clicks. This is for most internet business. So the number of clicks or number of times they've landed on your page is a metric. So you can define that. So that's the first thing you probably do is define that. You define a metric, then go ahead and test it. For this particular business question that I've just put in as a case study, it would be typically an A/B, what we called A/B testing. So you test some certain number of users without the dislike button, and you test a certain number of users with the dislike button, and you compute some metrics, and then you can make a conclusion that a dislike button increases user engagement, so the management can go ahead and put this into production, that sort of thing. So that's an example of a business question or a problem. Number two, this would be, typically we look at our data sources. So for example, we have a business question from our business team, or what you call our management team, but we are not collecting that data yet. So we need to also look at the data points that we have available. If we don't have it available, how can we augment our data and make it comprehensive in that sense? So yes, so this is just an example. Sometimes the web is your friend. Sometimes we do some what we call web scraping, that sort of thing. But there's an increasing number of open source data. So I think we also have Kenya has an initiative, Kenya Open Data, but I don't think it's been updated. Then we come up with a solution. So once we've looked at our business question, what do we want to do? Do we want to create a predictive model? Do you want to create a web app? How are you going to put it in production? That sort of thing. So this is just the typical day-to-day workflow of most data teams. And when you are in an entry-level career, these are the things you need to understand from an organizational standpoint. For typical for-profit organizations, they're not going to. You have to, what's called, a data team has to bring value on board. So the best way to bring value on board is typically through data projects following these three solutions. Then you can justify the spend they are spending on the data team and that sort of thing. Otherwise, it becomes what do we say, a redundant department, and would have to be, say, cut down or something. So this is just a typical workflow that I would advise most entry-level people to understand, that you are in a business to support the business. That's not there as data just to sit around or do anything. You're there to help the business, support the business. That's your primary goal. So this is typically for profit organizations. move on to the second slides. And then I'll just talk here typically to give most of you guys a bird's eye view of how most data teams are arranged. So there's the number one, what we call embedded teams. So what I mean here by embedded is there's an organization structure where each department has a data analyst or a data scientist inside. So typical organizations have, say, operations department, finance department, HR department, technology department, very risk department. Those are audit department. So those are the typical organizational structure. So some teams, how the organization decides to put their data resources to use is to have a member in each department, a data person responsible. So if I'm in the finance team, I'm only dealing with financial data and trying to solve the problems for that team specifically. So this is more prevalent in what we call software organizations or internet. I would call them internet organizations. For example, for instance, say Facebook, they're divided into various teams. Maybe there's the WhatsApp team, that sort of thing. So inside a product development team, they would have a data scientist, and that data scientist is for that specific product. So if we are adding, say, an emoji to our platform, we have a data person there to maybe say measure certain things, test certain things, and help that product, the product team, successfully integrate their product or use their data to make decisions. So that's the typical number one data team. Second is the departmental, where there is a chief data officer and is a fully fledged data department, which serves the rest of the organization. So all the data team is in one department. So you have certain hierarchies, maybe say yes, junior data analyst, senior data analyst, that way all the way up until the data science manager or the chief data scientist or the chief data officer. So that's the typical ones. And step three is if a company doesn't necessarily want to pay for a full-fledged data team or build a data team or analytics team, they would go maybe say the consulting route, where they get a subset of consultants for maybe say a specified time period, 3 months, 6 months, and they would work on their business problem and use their data and give them conclusions and present it to them or the management, and they would make decisions based on that information that I would give it. So that's the third, I would say, typical data team arrangement. I'll move on to this third slide. So here to talk about the challenges that you typically face on a day-to-day basis, or just in your professional career if you're building your career. So number one is getting everyone on board. Data science relies heavily on a lot of technology or platforms. So getting buy-in from I think this is a problem that is on board for every technological team. And sometimes most data teams are under the CTO or the chief technology officer. So getting everyone on board means you just getting the business team to accept to use data to drive their decisions, that sort of way. So this is a challenge that you face ongoing every other time. How do you justify to the chief financial officer that he has to spend X amount of money on a new product or software that helps you deploy machine learning models faster, that sort of thing. So that's an ongoing challenge that you probably face in the workplace, and you have to adapt to that. This is closely related to the second thing, adoption of new technology. So how do you get the typical challenges? How do you get the operations team to believe your model? How do you explain to them their model? They will never take something and use it if they don't understand it. If they don't understand your model, your model is explainable. How can you explain it to them? Say if my model predicts in a certain way, what are the variables that are in use? So maybe XYZ gender has a better repayment rate, that sort of thing. So you need to find a way of breaking down the complex technical topics to explain it to them. Otherwise, your models will never be approved or per se or taken into production by the management team or the business team. I say that. So that's also a thing that you need to take into practice. And the third one is data projects sometimes fail. How do you handle this? The problem with failure in a sense is it sometimes put fear in the other team, in the operations team or in the management team, that okay, maybe you lose some sort of trust. So how do you handle this? How do you handle expectations? Do not always just go on and overpromise. Oh, my model will do X, Y, Z with 100% accuracy or 99% accuracy, that sort of thing. So you need to learn how to manage expectations. And this goes hand in hand with typically what we see. Typically, data in the real world that we don't see in tutorials, for example, the Titanic data set, the Iris data set, those data sets are unicorns in the sense that they are the typical data set you will meet in most businesses or in your workplace are very dirty, are very flawed. So you would find creating, basically getting out the value from that data is going to be very hard. And that's why I would say you need to manage expectations from the very onset when you're starting a data project. I go to my slide here. So the question here is asking myself was, if I was starting my career all over again, what would I do more? The first one is I'd read more probability and statistics. This is a thing that I think is also most often overlooked in terms of, yes, you can easily write a logistic regression model in Python or in R or in any other platform, but can you explain how it works? Do you know the math behind it? Do you know where the weakness is? Models have certain weaknesses by just their typical nature. So how do we detect those weaknesses? We have to understand the math behind it. Sometimes we apply these algorithms mechanistically. So sometimes we need to tweak and understand this is why this model is behaving this way. So that's what I realize the gap is right now. Most people are adept at the different programming languages, but you need to understand how the algorithm works. Secondly, I'll talk about networking. So you need to identify an industry and understand it. So if you're interested in clean energy, for example, clean energy now, you need to identify the industry while you're still there, while you're still trying to get inside, identify who are the players, who are the major market leaders. So for example, clean energy, there's certain organization in Copper Solar that are leaders in their own green light planet in that. Then look them up, look at the people who are, do they have a data team? Look them up, try and reach out to them for advice on how you can penetrate the industry, read up on them, gain as much domain knowledge about the industry that you're interested in, and propel yourself in terms of so when you get an opportunity to interview for a certain position, say in the clean energy, you understand it and the panel can see you understand the industry. Although you have no experience in that, but you understand it, and you have a passion for it and you're interested in it. So this goes also hand in hand with domain knowledge. When you enter a team, you probably have enough technical background. So what I would advise, or what I would have done more, is get as much domain knowledge in the first few months, years in that industry. So interact with the other teams, interact with the operations team, interact with people on the ground, interact with the users, where they and how are their experience. Then you will be able you'll be better placed when you look at the data for the organization to know this is where we need to look at. So that's a very important skill, I would say, and it's often overlooked. Lastly, I'll talk about learn how you learn. We all learn differently. So when you see people running in, say, for a certain boot camp, is that the way you really learn? Do you learn when I would say, do you learn through an online basis, or do you learn best through a face-to-face, or do you learn through throwing yourself into the deep end? So there's certain ways it's unique to you. So don't always follow the crowd in terms of how they're learning, but choose your own path. And there's always an advice that I give in terms of learning is, the moment something feels boring to you, drop it and move to something else. So if you're learning a certain, maybe say reading up on a certain topic in data science is also very wide. There's natural language processing, there's AI, there's deep learning, there's machine learning. And among this, it's so wide, and it's the future I see for it is we're going to start having different JDs, because sometimes you see someone defining a job, they're data science, data scientist, and it's more of like computer vision. So we have certain niches in our industry. So within that, you can maybe start reading. You're starting reading up on natural language processing, and you feel like, okay, no, it's not getting you. You can drop that, move to something else, that way. You can come back to it when you feel more motivated, so they do not stopping. So because we always have this, and we've been taught to always finish something before we start. But I don't think it's the best way to particularly learn. So yeah, those are the 4 things that I would have done differently for starting my career all over. So I think now we're right on time. At this juncture, I'll stop presenting, and then we can maybe go into the info section. So I don't know, Mabel, you'll try and moderate this, or should I just pick questions on the chat?
I think you can pick questions from the chat.
Okay. So on this juncture, I'll be answering questions in order of the way they appear on the chat. So you can, I can see some questions. You could please post your questions there. And if I need more clarity, I will ask you for clarity. So I've seen Victor's question, your journey in data science and what you're currently doing. I think I've covered that. Currently, I'm focusing on the biggest business problem question in financial institutions is credit risk. So in terms of how do we assess a loan applicant, how will they repay us? So that is the question that the problem that we are currently facing, and we're now moving to apply machine learning models to it, and that sort of thing.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Oh, you said you worked in the pharmaceutical industry before, and right now you're in the financial industry. Is there any difference between the models that you used in the pharmaceutical industry and the ones you used in the financial industry?
Yes, this is a very
Probably
good
is it the same one?
Thank you, Brian. So pharma is quite different from financials. So pharma is more, I would say, rigid, because you're dealing with products that are going to be inside people's bodies. So it has to be strictly regulated by certain bodies. So in Europe, I think it's the European Drug Agency, and for the US is the Federal Drug Agency. So it's highly regulated. And so the typical there is we have what we call survival analysis. So if, say, for example, we are testing a cancer drug, so there's a measure of time to death. So if someone does not take what we call a placebo, is you take a drug that is just, maybe say, not a drug, so just water, and someone who takes our drug that we've created, does it increase the length of his life to the end, and by how much? So those are the typical functions. They're quite different. They're quite different, and the industry itself are quite different, in the sense that pharma is so highly regulated. Fintech is very innovative and very agile. So yes, that would be my brief. I hope that answers your question.
Um, yeah, yes, it does. Thank you. And I have another question as well. You said as you started your career, you should seek domain knowledge. Yeah. So
Yeah.
is it correct if I wanted to start off my career in a financial industry, then because it's the data science world, probably I'll is it best to go where you best exposed to a lot of data, say like a place like Safaricom, or is it best if I go to a financial company where I learn the industry and get well placed in a domain in the specific domain that I want to be?
All right.
Did you
So
get my question?
yes, I get your question. So it depends. Now, the way the world is moving is, financial institutions are also, the industry is also becoming, I'd say, meshed up together. So in the case of Safaricom, it started off as a telco, but it's now moving towards, I think their mission is now moving towards financial products, that sort of thing. So wherever you get a break and it's related to what you want, I would advise you to take it. Go there, you learn something, and then it will probably change your mind. You'll refine your mind in terms of how, okay, I've been here, this is the experience I want, but I really, you'll start maybe interacting with other people in other organizations, and you're like, okay, the work they're saying about is what I really wanted, or what I'm really wanting to do. So your path narrows as you move further in your career, in that sense. So you will get whatever you get a start, do it. If it's close to the industry you want, uh, that's the better. If it's related, fine, you can do it there. Then keep your eye on there, get an opportunity, move that way. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Kigen.
There's one question by Angela. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. Is data science a career at risk of being automated in the future? I don't think so, in the sense that what is being automated is the applying the ML algorithms. So in the sense of auto ML. But before that, before you get your data into a form, and feature engineering, and data cleaning, before you get it to that level that you can just have an auto ML where someone drags, does not need to code, it's drop and drag. So technology, before you get your data into that form, it's a lot of pain. Yeah, so that's still where, so I don't foresee that being a problem in the future, per se. Yeah, so any more questions, guys? You can ask me. Just say in the chat. All right, I think maybe I'll just give one more minute for any person with a question with drafting it to finish typing it up, and then I'll hand it over back to Mabel.
There's one question there from Cyrus Kimani. Oh yeah, and Timothy.
So Cyrus, how do you say the job market is in Kenya? I would assume your question is more towards the data science job market. Yes, so there's a lot of demand. I would say the problem out there is not enough qualified people, in the sense of the skills are still missing. So the perfect combination of the technical skills and soft skills is not yet there. We are not yet there. There is no fully dedicated, as of now, fully dedicated undergraduate course that focuses on data science per se. So there's also that missing. Some of the boot camps are, and I would say, not of the best quality. So it's the problem we're facing in terms of hiring new people or getting out. So there's a lot of demand. This is set to go higher, of course, with what you call COVID-19, the pandemic per se. The pandemic per se, it's set to go higher. So because now more businesses will join the digital platform, and now once you're on a digital platform, you can easily, what I'd say now, you're collecting data, so you need to use that data per se. Average salary for junior data analyst in Kenya, this varies from organization to organization. So mostly for junior data analyst, you basically start off as an intern, and then you move to that junior data analyst. So whatever you get as an intern, maybe it depends with the organization, the organizational structure. They have different organization payloads. So say if an intern somewhere is getting paid 30K, maybe they'll add you another 20K or something like that. But it depends on, it varies from different organizations and different industries. I would say that. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Walter.
Hello, Kigen. Yes. I'm wondering. So, let's say someone knows how to manipulate pandas, NumPy, and matplotlib in Python. Can he get a job as a junior data analyst?
Yes. So it also, yeah, so it depends with what the organization wants. Do they want someone good in Excel? And that's what I was saying, data is so wide. So maybe they want someone strictly for dashboards. So they want maybe say someone with some experience in Power BI or in Tableau or in Looker, or they want someone good at Excel, that sort of thing. So the job definitions are, but yeah, you should have, by virtue of you knowing some of those data wrangling platforms, it should be easy for you to catch up to whatever particular skill set, technical skill set they are looking for. Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So there's one question by Collins. What advice would you give to one who is interested in data science and just learned the programming languages? Practice. So there's, like I said, there's lots of data out there in the open data initiatives. Get a data set, analyze it, do a graph, do a data visualization, and put it on your GitHub or something. Practice every week, every day, if possible. That's the only way you will build up on that. Yeah, sometimes if I go on holiday for like 2 weeks, I come back, I'm rusty. So that's how quick you forget things. So you always need to keep practice. Anguilla is SQL really important in this career? Yeah, I would say very important, because how do you get your data on the platform? Most of your data will be stored in a database. So assuming there's someone, and this is a big assumption, there's someone tasked in your data team with just giving you the data, then you would probably survive without SQL. But this is very rare because most departments are just starting up. So yes, you definitely need to know some SQL. All right. I think I'll hand back to Mabel. My time is up.
Okay, thank you so much, Kigen, for that amazing presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you for teaching us so many things, including what I've learned most. Okay, what I might comment about is the challenges which you mentioned. And also, if you're given the chance to start on your career, the key point that you gave us, that we shouldn't forget about the math, read more on probability and statistics, also network, identifying what maybe you're interested in terms of industry and understanding it, also the domain knowledge. And also very important thing is learning how best you learn, because it is different for everyone. So thank you very much, Kigen, for that amazing and wonderful presentation. Unless Ben has anything to say, I think we will go next to Peter Ayub. He's a data scientist at Safaricom PLC. I'm sure he has amazing information to give us, and I'm sure we'll have an amazing time with him. So, okay, and he has left the meeting. I'm sure he'll rejoin in a second. Before he comes back, Mandela was to give a presentation. Winnie Mandela, maybe you can help us. You can share your presentation.
Hello, hi guys. My name is Winnie Mandela. Okay, point of correction. I was not supposed to bring a presentation. I was supposed to make you guys relax, and my work is kutoa stress. So I would love for us to play a game called Kahoot. So I'll be sharing my screen. So can anyone see my screen? Hello?
Yes. I can see your screen, and I can see yeses as well on the chat.
Good. Okay, yes. So I think all of you know this game called Kahoot. So I'd love for you guys to join using this game pin. Who has joined or my network is low? Kahoot and then join. So thank you, Favor Grace. Thank you, Mimi. Anyone else? Okay, just go to your device, Google the name Kahoot, and then join the play. And then on the tab for the game pin, input this code. This one over here. Can I get more players? There are only 2 people in the whole chat. Can I get 5 more? Thank you, Eric. Elud. Hey, you guys have names. Why? Okay. That's 12. Can we reach to 20 to be more fun? Good. So thank you for the 12, for the 13 people who signed up. So I think we can start the game. What has a face and 2 hands but no arms or legs? You have 60 seconds. Just pick the color that you think is the answer on your phone. What has a face and 2 hands but no arms or legs? Spider, clock, bear, a tree.
We can't see your screen.
Oh,
Yeah, we can see your screen.
okay. Sorry. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, so what has a face? The time is up. Sorry. Let's do the next one. Yeah. Next. Yes. Yeah, so those who did not participate, the first one, here's the second one. What belongs to you but yet is used more by others than yourself? You have 60 seconds. Your name,
Your screen hasn't changed to the next question. Hello, Winnie.
Your screen is still the same.
Sorry for that. I think Winnie has internet connection issues. So probably we'll play the game at the end, but for now, let us give Ayub a chance to give his presentation. Ayub, the floor is yours.
Hi everyone, and thanks for hosting me. My apologies, at some point there I lost connection. Coincidentally, immediately, Kigen just said, now I'm handing it over to Mabel. Lights went off. So I'm so sure most of you with IT projects, when you're just about to do a presentation, something wrong happens. So we are always our fingers crossed. So that's what happened, but I'm glad I'm connected back, hoping that that's the only share of bit I'm going to face today until the end of the session. This is a very, very interesting session, the Data Science Summit. To be honest, I actually did not know that I was going to do a PowerPoint presentation. I saw the topic and I was in my mind, I had the thought that it's going to be a Q&A and sort of like a forum where it's both ways, but nevertheless, I think I'll combine a bit of both, where we'll engage as well as I'll start with some essentials I feel are necessary when talking about what I was supposed actually to present or to talk about today was preparing to be hired by a tech company as a data scientist, and I'm also going to add as a machine learning engineer. So basically preparing to be hired by a tech company as a data scientist or machine learning engineer. I must put a disclaimer, I'm not in HR, I'm a data scientist and I work in Safaricom PLC. Within a section called Customer Channel Support. There, my mandate is to look at opportunities, AI opportunities that can be capitalized, either by raising some hypotheses and trying to give value out of those hypotheses by either determining certain or deriving certain actions out of them. And then the second one, AI opportunities in terms of automation or building machine learning models that can drive some efficiency and predictive analytics within that section. Kigen also mentioned earlier the way different companies organize their data team. I would say Safaricom is a combination of number one and number two. Number one, according to Kigen, was he called it embedded, and then number two, he called it departmental. So at Safaricom, we have a data team, but within other sections, or even what is being called agile squads, there are specific expertise that work in those squads or within those teams, and I happen to be one of them. But there is collaboration. So Safaricom is a combination of the first two that Kigen had mentioned. Now, most of you I can see are in Campus, if I'm not wrong. Just by, please on chat, if you're in Campus, just respond with one. If you're working, respond with two. I just want to get a feeling of the people I'm talking to. Okay, all right. Wow. Wow. Okay. Wow. Very good. So I'm assuming most of you guys are in Campus. There's only one outlier. That is the term we use in machine learning. He's in Campus and is working. Good stuff, Mark Moody. It reminds me of my Campus days. I used to actually work and study. It was very, very tough, and I can only imagine what Mark is going through, but I encourage the outlier to keep on keeping on. Always just put your eyes on the ball. All right, that is good reflection of my assumption. And I want you guys, I had not prepared any slides, so it's just going to be engaging. And based on the title, my assumption is you'd want to internalize whether or not you're ready for hire in a tech company as a data scientist or machine learning engineer. So the pointers that I'm going to discuss should give you an indication of the path you should choose or the path you should follow as you work towards being hired, because most guys prefer being hired, but in the current days and times, I highly encourage guys to look at hiring as compared to being hired, because it is possible. Right out of campus, you don't have to know what needs to be done, but if you can put together people who know what needs to be done, you can hire and you can actually provide direction. So as we discussed, think of both, not only to be hired, but also to hire, because the opportunities for AI are immense, and what any company needs to be done can be done by any other person, for as long as you know and understand the expected outcome. Business call it the value. So if you can articulate, or first of all, if you can identify a problem, and then determine whether or not that problem is can be solved using machine learning or AI in general, and you can. Sorry, am I audible? Okay. I think someone needs to go mute. Speaker, Dubé. Thank you for that. All right, I was saying that for as long as you know what needs to be done and you can actually identify AI opportunities and articulate value that you're going to give either business or to your customers. So when you're giving value to your customers, it means you have customers and you want to provide that value to your customers. In that sense, then you'll start looking for people who can help you deliver that value. So straight to my talk, I've split that talk into, I would call 3 sections by and large. And the first section is the basic, the need. And it's good you're still in campus. So you guys in campus are in a learning mode. You guys can afford to like transnight just studying for the CAT tomorrow. Unlike us guys, where I think time has changed a lot, and we are supposed to have enough rest to be able to work the following day. So there is a section that you guys should actually play while you're in campus right now. So thank God that you're attending this session and you're being told that while in campus, there's actually a role you need to play in your journey to be hired as a tech company in data science. And the role needs to be along the subjects or some of the subjects that are fundamental to your role, or rather to your future role or skills as a data scientist, machine learning, whether or not you're going to employ or whether or not you're going to be the employee. So what I term as basic technical elements would essentially fall into, I think, 5. Programming, statistics and probability, multivariate calculus, linear algebra, and optimization methods. Yeah. So if you visit programming, let me put it this way. I've attended several seminars or workshops that people say of the opinion, and I agree to some extent with that opinion, that you don't necessarily have to know programming to become a data scientist. Yeah, because the line of thought of people, and like has been mentioned before, is what companies are looking for differ from one company to another. So they might just be exclusively looking for a visualization person, and the skills for visualization will not require machine learning engineer or the understanding of algorithms. So your tools would be Matplotlib, pandas, and such like stuff. But look at it this way. If we have 2 people from the same campus, same course, let me say computer science, but one guy over the 4 years in campus, he or she has been accumulating some soft skills, attending 1 or 2 workshops, and enhancing their CV, and even studying. Let me say one person is actually in economics, and the other person is in computer science. I think that will drive my point home. So one person in economics and the other person in computer science. So at the end of the day, the economics guy graduates with a second class lower, and then the computer science guy graduates with a first class honors. But the economics guy has a lot of soft skills. He has done some projects over the 4 years he's been in campus. He or she has been in campus, and he can program. He has built one very, very basic predictive model that predicts the economy of a certain country based on previous GDPs, and he or she can articulate a situation where he was a team player and drove a team towards a certain achieving a certain goal. Then if these two people attended an interview, and then by chance the economics guy, because he did a little bit of programming, he passes the technical interview. Because the computer science, the only advantage the computer science student will have is the technical, where you know how to program, you know how to do a lot of things, and then you're both required to go to the next level where they're looking at other aspects. So that is a point you'll realize that, okay, it's not just about being, especially when you're looking for a job. I can tell you for a fact, it's not just about being very good in one area. You don't want to be a consultant immediately after campus. So after campus, it's good to get a grasp of almost everything. Look at the jobs that are normally posted by HR companies. You look at that JD and you're like, okay, now are these people looking for a genius from some weird country, or will I ever get a job? Yeah, I've looked at those JDs and some of them are very, very ridiculous. But the truth of the matter is, and the message being sent, put across is, you need to be multi-skilled, especially to get into a job. So, because companies, there is something called cost-benefit analysis. It's the truth. Even if you were the person running a business, you'd want to spend little and get more. Yeah, and that's why that is one thing about employment that really sucks. You give out a lot of effort, but your salary will never be. It will never be to the level of what you'd admire or what you feel you contribute, because no company can actually do that. Even those people paying employees 600,000, I am so sure that what the employee or the mandate given to this employee and the return on investments for each of this employee is way, way much more. So it will never be the same. Yeah, so that is a fact. So when you're looking for a career, first of all, especially if it is your first career, don't think of specialization. Get a grasp of almost everything. The moment you get a job, as you get experience and exposure to the different business problems, then you can start narrowing down to a specific specialization. Yeah, that would work, and you'll start now deriving a lot of value. Yeah. Now, programming, that is the thoughts I have in programming. Statistics and probability, it's as a first-time job in data science and machine learning, the very basic statistics is enough for you to get started. Yeah, but now the more you now reach to a point where you're comparing performance of models. Kigen had mentioned there are weaknesses of algorithms. That's the time now you understand the value of how the algorithms do the work they do. How do they derive, how do they come up with the metrics, or how do they perform, and why would you pick one algorithm as compared to the other? So this would come in very, very handy when now you're applying algorithms to specific domains. So, and interpreting whatever you see in data. Now, the knowledge of statistics is very, very important. And actually, an algorithm is nothing more than statistical and mathematical formulas. So if you have done calculus, differential calculus, linear algebra, the matrix, with time, you'll realize, okay, this is how this algorithm is doing. It's coming up to its decision. And it's basically what you learned in campus. I did maths and physics in JQuat. I've seen a lot of JQuat guys, but that's so many years ago. At the time, I can tell you, I wasn't sure, what is this maths and physics? So I was just doing it because I had been accepted to go to campus, and being idle was not an option. I needed to go to campus and complete my maths and physics. Fortunately enough, I got a chance, an opportunity to also do computing and information side by side. So these are skills that I built from first year all the way to fourth year and completing the campus. So at this particular time, as I do my daily job, that's when I reflect back. I was like, okay, now this makes a lot of sense. And the reason why I'm telling you guys, you're very, very lucky. You're attending such forums while you're still in campus. You can choose to take a different direction while the opportunity is there. Unlike any one of us who is already in the working area, where we cannot go back to campus and revert what was there. If you did
I think we lost our speaker for a while. Let's give him some 2 minutes so that he can join the call.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, Walter.
Um, Also, I'm experiencing some power issues. We haven't had power since morning. So if today's summit is being recorded, I would love it if you guys would send me the link. My phone is at 1% right now.
Okay, I will send it to the group chat, the WhatsApp group chat. Yeah, so be sure you'll access the link. Yeah.
I don't think if I'm in the WhatsApp group chat. I only saw the link in the message. I mean the mail.
Okay.
That Mother sent.
Walter, I'll send
Yes.
you the link, the same mail, the same email that I used.
The link will be sent to your email, as Mabel is saying.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, nice.
Hi guys, so the speaker has lost connection but is looking for an alternative. He has requested for a bit of time, and if we can continue playing the game, Mandela, if you're ready, maybe we can continue. Okay, so Mandela's net is low, and as someone had suggested up there about knowing each other. Okay, let me inform you that Data Science East Africa is working on coming up with communities for various campuses. And I think there's some groups for different campuses, and we are looking to grow those communities in various campuses. So maybe if you're here and you're a campus ambassador and you want people to join your community, you can tell them how, or maybe post the link of your Twitter account on the chat box so that people can join. Oh yeah, and also you can mention the campus you guys go to on the chat box. Oh, great. Welcome back, Ayub. You can continue.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank God we are all in IT, and once in a while such stuff happen. So I really appreciate your understanding. You guys, I hope you understand, and I thank you for that. So I'll just proceed from where I left it, statistics and probability. So the very, very basic statistics and probability would suffice for you to start your career as a data scientist and especially as a machine learning engineer. And multivariate calculus in campus. And nowadays the advantage is, even with finance background, any other background apart from computer science, you can still venture into this industry, because we have a lot of free resources online that can enable you to get to understand. And then good for you guys, there's one very, very important thing called domain knowledge that a data scientist will be actually rendered useless if they don't have a specific domain they can apply the analytics or statistics or even algorithms on. So if you're in any other industry, don't think that you cannot fit this industry. You cannot become a data scientist or machine learning engineer. As a matter of fact, it would work for you. Well, the only thing is the attitude you put on. You need to put on a cap that has a positive attitude, the attitude of I can do this and I will actually do it, and attend such forums. So linear algebra, matrices, and these are things that the very basic, the one that you acquire in campus is good, or the resources online that are available. I make a lot of reference to Khan Academy, Khan Academy. They illustrate very, very good concepts and simplified to understand some of these basic techniques, especially with mathematics, and then optimization methods, yeah, because we'll be optimizing. Now, with regards to optimization models, we're looking at things like cost function, objective function, likelihood functions, gradient descent. So when it comes to neural networks and other optimization techniques, these are now advanced levels. but it does not deter you from venturing into this skill. So once you've acquired what I call baseline technical requirements, which is the technical skills, like now you need to learn the very, very, very basics, at least how to add matrices, how to multiply matrices, and what is the difference when you multiply matrices of different dimensions, what is the expected output, all those things. So when you are looking at your features and you're actually building a model, you can actually relate and understand where the math is being applied. Okay. All right. Now we have a very unique set. Now, after achieving the baseline technical elements requirements, there's a very, very unique set that actually I call them differentiating elements. They will differentiate you from the rest. I can have a first-class honors in maths from JQuat, but if I don't have any or a combination of the elements I'm going to mention, a guy with a pass with all these features I'm going to talk about can actually get the job that I really wish I would get. So these are things that are very, very fundamental. And if it's a supplement to the baseline technical skills that are required, and you strive to achieve them, and there's nothing deterring you from achieving or getting or even practicing or even learning these things while you're in campus. So remember, the topic is preparing to be hired as in a tech company as a data scientist or a machine learning engineer. So after acquiring the technical skills, which can be measured through a certificate of excellence or whatever certificate you get, if certificate of participation, if it's participated in a workshop, an online course, or even your certificates you get from campus, once you get those, there are additional skills that you need to get. Now, the first one is domain expertise. Now, someone will ask me now, I'm in campus, so how do I get domain expertise, for instance, in customer care? Or how do I get domain expertise in finance? How do I get domain expertise in sales and marketing? And my answer is this. Campus guys, especially the company I work for, Safaricom, the people that does the marketing and sales, they normally depend on campus guys a lot. There are so many companies that reach out to campus students to do one or two things. Unfortunately, most of these campus students, they don't take it seriously. They don't see that this is a stepping stone to the kind of future they want. So if you're called into, say, sales and marketing, you look at it like, hey, naenda kupata dongapi. That's it. Yeah, you don't do any research work. Like now, how does a sales and marketing campaign actually operate? How does someone go out there and does marketing to the effect that it actually bears fruit? So a company other than Safaricom could reach out to students in campus. Hey, we need this number of people to do for us marketing of this product. I highly doubt that there are students who go back to the libraries and research. Okay, now tomorrow I'm going to start a marketing campaign. How do I do it, and of what value should I deliver to this company by the end of tomorrow? So you'd ask yourself, how do I acquire domain expertise? Now, an opportunity just slipped through, and you went and did it. You got your 2K, 3K, and you're happy. On Friday, we go where we normally go and have some fun, and we look for another opportunity the coming weekend, and the cycle continues. So the cash that you're being given, it does what it needs to be done. What you forget to invest in is yourself. So you forget investing in yourself because you believe you're a good salesperson. But when it comes to employment, you realize actually your belief is somehow disconnected from the skills that are being looked into by your potential employer. So I encourage you that being domain expertise does not necessarily require that you wait to be employed. The small opportunities that come your way, take them seriously. Research, give your all. Like now, if you're going to be paid 2,000 at the end of the day, do a job that is worth 10,000. Observe the customers, record their feedback, analyze what they get, reach out to other salespeople, get an understanding. How was it? create a very, very good report, give it to your supervisor and tell them, out of today, this is what I came up with. And with time, you'll have domain expertise in sales and marketing. And guess what? There's a lot of AI and ML opportunities in sales and marketing, in customer experience, because that is where now products are being built. That is where now products are being created for customers. All right. Now, there's another thing called intuition. It's not taught, but based on your experience, you need to be intuitive in terms of what drives you or how in your problem solving skills, yeah? And then patience. In the field of data science and machine learning, it requires a lot of patience. Think of it this way. You're going in a laboratory, you're mixing chemicals and something comes out. You wanted to observe a blue gas coming out and then all of a sudden you see a red gas. You're like, okay, what did I do? Either it's a mixing. So if you're not a scientist in the mind, you're not going to make it in the field of science. You won't make it. And a scientist is, you can attempt so many approaches and you keep failing. But because you believe in the math inside that algorithm, it's because you believe, if someone tells you right now 1 + 1 is 2, it's your belief that 1 + 1 is 2 that would make you understand that when you come to adding your savings and that of your business, you'll actually come up with the accurate figure of your final thing. It's because you believe in the fundamentals. So as a scientist, you need to be able to have some level of patience, because what you're doing is experiments and outcomes can be either out as expected. And Kigen also related to this when he said about overpromising and managing your stakeholders. These are real problems, yeah? And I can't emphasize how lucky you guys are more than this, because you're attending such forums while you're still in campus. And it's like you have someone who went to your future 10 years, and then you're having a conversation with them, and then they're telling you, okay, dude or girl, this is what you need to do. If you follow this path, this is how it's going to come out. That is exactly what you're having. That is the moment you're having right now. Another thing you need to do is you need to be self-driven. Yeah, you need to be self-driven. And self-driven in the sense that you easily identify and seek opportunities, whether you're going to be paid or not, because all you want to do is learn. So if there's an AI opportunity that is in a certain company, reach out and be stubborn at it and network, and the problems that you come up with, try and solve them. So you're not waiting to be given tasks, but you're identifying and driving these tasks and actually seeing the results. You need to be practical. So the way you do your stuff, you need to order, you need to be structured, you need to be result-oriented, you need to, I was going through the recording for yesterday. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend yesterday's seminar, but I was lucky enough to see my colleague Matthew talk about documentation. And I have to emphasize on this as well. So when it comes to being practical, you need to document in such a manner that anyone else who wanted to do or even learn from you, they can actually follow your documentation and get value out of it. Soft skills. You need to be a people person. I can tell you for a fact, when I was in campus, I used to, my cubicle was once upon a time Mr. Jquat. So if you can imagine being called Mr. Jquat or Mrs. Jquat or whatever names you call each other nowadays, in such competition, quote unquote, you become some sort of celebrity. And celebrities within campuses have a certain lifestyle. And that lifestyle is slightly on the other side of learning and education. It's about parties, it's about having fun, it's about, you are there. So I think you relate with it. At least that is how it was in the past. But what you don't know is these people have a very, very unique skill. They have a very, very unique and special and very, very rare skill that actually is required in most organizations. Because when you're working, you're not working alone. When you're working with people. and someone who can make people laugh, someone who can make people towards, who can drive people towards a certain goal. Those are the skills that are normally sought out for. So you need to have certain soft skills. I'm not saying that you overdo it. Of course, you have to study. You have to wake up early and go to the library and study. But when it comes to partying, also by all means, party and try and interact with people you've never met. Try and talk to them, tell them about yourself, and market yourself, and listen to them and advise them. Make them feel good about themselves and make them continue doing the good things. You can do all these things while you're clubbing and having fun. So those soft skills are very, very important. Communication skills are also very, very important. And most importantly, because your employer is not going to be following you all the time. Like now, the way I had follows cows all around. Like now, hey, go this side, get away from the road, right? You're going to be crushed. You need to organize yourself. When you wake up in the morning, what are you going to do and what do you expect out of your day? You need to have a very, very clear plan. At the end of the day, I need to have achieved at least 2 out of the 5 things I'm planning to do. If you achieve 3, you're going to feel really, really good. You need to stop waking up and just doing things without expecting outcome. So that is self-organizing and taking self-initiatives. And then another thing that is also looked out for as you prepare to be employed or even employ, you need to be running some individual projects. So as there are so many content and forums and workshops about data science and machine learning that can give you a base, can give you a fundamental, like now the fundamentals of machine learning. So if you look at a problem like linear regression, it's a very, very basic algorithm, but very, very powerful. Logistic regression. So if you can deliver a predictive model that is very basic and articulate the value it's going to give out in a certain life scenario, that is your individual project. Put it up in your GitHub and make noise about it. Yeah, individual projects make you stand out, and not only makes you stand out, it makes you learn by doing, which is very, very important. Going to a class right now, you'll be taught theory, but if you supplement that theory by identifying a unique problem, you will actually realize that theory was like, it was like someone hiding, if you like, raspberry or any berry, and someone packaged those berries in a tin, and then they put ice cream, and then at the top of the ice cream, they put some sweet stuff. So when you just take the ice cream, you realize that ice cream at the top is the theory. But now, because you love berries, you have to go deeper and get those berries. Yeah. So what the hands-on, practical, individual projects do to you, they make you learn new stuff, and even they'll make you learn how theory at times give you conflicting information. When you're attending a class, you might realize, okay, now, what is this? It's not clear. Theory does not make it clear. But the moment you get into an individual project, it becomes very, very clear, and it will never leave your mind. Now, to the last section. I've talked about the differentiating elements as you prepare to be employed by a tech company as either data scientist or machine learning. And you'll realize all these things I've spoken about, more or less, they cut across any industry. But the reason why they are very, very special in data science and machine learning, it's this field is relatively new in this part of the world, and it requires that most organizations require a lot of results within the shortest time possible, and they have no laxity of waiting for feeling an impact, like 6 months. There's no laxity of okay, let's do an experiment for 6 months, and all these months you're just pumping in investment. No, most companies, they want you to learn something, implement it, and learn either the mistakes, iterate, but give value, start giving and articulating value back to the business within the shortest time possible. Yeah. So those skills, the differentiating skills, the differentiating elements are very, very important. Now, the last section that I'm going to talk about, I'm sorry I've run out of time, but I'll quickly just go through preparing for an interview. Now, you've gotten the technical skills, you've graduated with the best grades you can ever achieve, even if it's a pass. You must believe in yourself. There was a question previously. There was a question someone asked previously about the salary someone gets. Okay, there is some noise. Huh? Someone thank you very much. So my personal thought on that would be salary is a negotiated value. You'll get someone in a high, quote unquote, a high profile title just because they were not able to negotiate for a good salary. They end up being paid the baseline minimum of that position. But someone in a low, quote unquote, low ranking title, just because they know the value they can give the company and they can articulate the value and resonate with the expectation of the organization, they get the ceiling of that title, because each title normally has a floor and a ceiling. So your negotiation skills, will give you probably the ceiling. But I think Kigen answered that question very, very well. It actually depends on organization from organization. What I want to add is you must know your worth. If it is low, acknowledge that your worth is still low. It will give you, it's like when you're on the ground, how low can someone take you? And if the floor is the last, nowhere. As umefika mwisho. So the only way is up. So if someone tells you, like, even if you acknowledge that, okay, I'm a junior, I'm not even a junior, but I just want to start. And then someone tells you, I want you to do this work with 15K or even 30K. Grasp it. And then capitalize that. I want to get there. What do I need to learn? And then you start building on yourself, building on your skills. And within a very short time, you'll start seeing the value that you give to the company and your value increases. So don't shy away from saying, either junior or I have no experience. Actually admit. If you don't have experience, admit. But you can supplement, I don't have experience employed, but the experience I've done while in campus is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Never say something that works against you. Don't say things like that communicates you don't believe in your skills. Believe in your skills, yeah, and acknowledge the room for growth. Now, you need to prepare for that interview. You need to check for the common and basic interview questions available online. Do research about that industry, what kind of questions, and then understand those questions in a manner that you can actually provide answers and justify and defend them. Like defend them with examples, yeah? I think there's a lot of noise. I would like just to Neely, could you kindly just mute? And then prepare for specific domain in question. So if the industry is looking for a machine learning engineer, and this organization is dealing with loans a lot, financial institution, you might want to start building your skills in understanding the loan domain, in the finance domain. Yeah, it will boost understanding that skill. So it's for that particular interview. Remember, it's for that particular interview. And then I think you having that knowledge, you need to do just the way you prepare for an exam, you need to prepare for an interview. Don't take anything for granted. Even the guys who have experience in this field, when it comes to an interview, you don't take it for granted. You must prepare. So you can imagine you want a job that an experienced person is also applying, but you don't prepare, but the person who has experience is actually preparing. So don't take this for granted. Prepare like it's the only thing you've got. And then the final one, my journey in the machine learning industry. I would like to speak a little bit about it. Majorly, I've been in the NLP industry, and it is largely experimental. And more often than not, NLP has a lot of value, and the most common one is building chatbots, but also understanding sentiments, building products, product portfolio, understanding in the support industry, technical support, trying to understand why certain issues occur in the backend, analysis of logs, log analysis, and this is largely classification problems. For those who've done machine learning, it is largely classification problems that you're solving. And another takeout is you need to have a good understanding of your stakeholders. This industry is really new, and the quote-unquote business people expect results. So there is no time for you to do all the experiments. So you iterate, deliver and iterate. And then the final word is network and collaborate, both internally and externally. You don't know everything. The more people you meet, they have experience with different problems. So try and share as much as you can in either your GitHub account, share with people. Don't share off. If you share knowledge, it doesn't mean it will drain the knowledge you have. Some people like retaining knowledge, waiting for the best opportunity to shine. It doesn't work that way. The more you share, the more you give out, the more challenges you get. Someone would actually challenge you, and when they challenge you, you realize, okay, this guy is actually right, and then you also learn. So that is the best way to be good at what in this field. Share and share, share. And with that, I want to thank you guys for attending. This is the time where feel free, fungua roho, uliza swali, and yeah, thank you very much. Mabel, back to you.
Thank you so much, Ayub, for that amazing presentation. I think from now, maybe you can answer some questions that maybe you guys have. Maybe if they want to talk, unmute their mics and talk, or if they don't want, they can ask the question directly in the chat area.
All right, thank you, Mabel. I can see, yeah, Harold, yeah, IT guys with excuses. Yes. We have a lot of excuses. This one I have to blame it on Kenya Power. We do that a lot, especially when you have a meeting that you want to, you know very well you are not prepared for. So you say, okay, guys, I won't be able to join this meeting because of blackouts. But anyway, that's on a lighter note. The question: how does one make noise with his own repo? Talk about it. Talk about it. Start by saying, this is my repo. In this case, in this forum, a forum like this one, you can put your name and in brackets, your name and brackets with your GitHub or LinkedIn account. It starts every event. There's a book I read that in a day, you speak to 10 people, make sure 6 people know something about you. Make sure 6 people know something about you, either your name, what you do, where you work, something small. That's how you market yourself. So I think that one gives you an indication, Vincent. You had asked that question. And then Timothy, when it's a Safaricom internship, it's a process. I had put a disclaimer, I'm not from HR, but I think internship process for Safaricom are normally published on their website. And there is a specific website, I think Taleo, that they advertise all internships and opportunities. Please follow them. Please follow Safaricom. They have a lot of programs, even in campuses. I am so sure HR guys normally, before Corona, they used to have such events. Wow, Mandela, the name of the book, oh my goodness. I wish I could remember. I read so much, but I promise, if you could inbox me on my LinkedIn account, I'll make sure I get you the name of the book. Kazungu, Derek, which industries or domain majorly apply data science or machine learning? Kazungu, I can tell you, I would be interested to know which industry does not. I would be interested to know which industry does not, because machine learning is used in almost all industry. Actually, in all. If there is an industry that you cannot apply machine learning to solve a problem, because machine learning is solving a problem. So an industry that does not apply machine learning or data science are basically telling us that the kind of problems they face are not futuristic, will not make them understand their customers better, and I don't think so. So even a kiosk, there's a way you guys can build solutions that run on mobile devices that can advise a kiosk guy when to order certain stuff in the course of the day. That is a predictive model running on a handheld device. So Kazungu, I think my answer to that is all. But I'm leaving room for someone to challenge me on that and give me an example of an industry that does not require, and I'll give a specific example where that industry actually can capitalize on AI. Any other question? Were it not for my lack of preparedness for this presentation, we would have driven in that 30 minutes window, I would have led you guys in a solution, or rather an exercise, like an exercise that would detect each of these skills. If you're ready, especially the soft skills, the differentiating skills, intuition, patience, self-driven, practical, soft skills, those things that I was talking about in those 30 minutes, and you judge yourself, am I ready or not? But because of time, maybe Mabel and team would set up another forum for that in the future. Any other question?
Yes. Maybe I can ask, how many percent of your work do you deal with software development or software engineering?
I would say like 40% for machine learning projects. 40% I would do software engineering. Then say around 30% I would do support. And then say 20% I would do machine learning. So you see it's distributed. Software engineering is very, very important because you're being looked at to deliver a solution. So if there is one person who can do several stuff, they have an added advantage of being considered for a job. And that's why I was pushing for multi-skill. I also saw previously there was a question on SQL. SQL is very, very important in this field, very important. I don't know, Vincent, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Kazungu, take us roughly on your daily routine as a data scientist. Wow, okay. Wake up in the morning, we have, the way we are set up as employees at Safaricom, some of us fall into projects and support at the same time. And you're also required to learn at your own time, like go out of your way, identify something and learn, grow yourself. So those are 3 sections. So when I wake up in the morning, I need to identify some of the tasks that I'm going to do that fall largely on those 3 sections. So the first one is, if it's a project, I have some project deliverables, specific actions that I need to do, and pick maybe 2 out of those that I need to do to completion. And that involves working with stakeholders, making phone calls, sending emails, and doing some reports and analysis of the possible impact of that action, whatever it is I'm going to do, what is the possible impact, and be able to communicate that as well. With regards to support, maybe there's a system that you're deployed and developed. There is a model that is answering its own stuff and doing its own magic. Because you see, one weird thing with most models, they lack explainability. They just do stuff. For example, a chat. When a chatbot gives you an answer, if it's not rule-based, you wouldn't know. If it's rule-based, you would know that this is why it's giving this wrong answer, and then you can fix it. But if it's based on a model, it makes decisions based on algorithms. And algorithms, it looks at that data, it comes with statistical explanations, like now its own understandings, statistics and maths. And then it gives you an output. Like now, my decision, if it's a classification, according to me, that is a random forest model telling you, according to me, this is class X, and this one is class Y. So until you as an ML engineer now try and derive and build explainability to your model, and there is a lot of research work in that area, by the way, in DS, in data science, trying to build explainable models, but most algorithms, not explainable. So you trying to, I try and explain the possible impact of the actions I'm going to do with regards to the project, and then support if there is such a model that I have built or participated in, those calls and those emails will come through to my attention, and I need to have either a plan of action that would solve those issues. So I'm supporting the things that I have built. And then with regards to learning, I spend time doing a lot of research and using use cases that I go through in my work area to identify solutions. So when I go out there looking for solutions, I tend to learn better. And Kigen, I can't agree with him more. Almost, I've quoted him more than 5 times. So I really, really hope you guys listen into what Kigen had mentioned, because he's telling you exactly how it is in the industry. So learning by, there's something he said, learn how you learn. Yes, those are his words. Learn how you learn. So of the school of thought that while theory is good, but hands-on is better. Go there asking, looking for answers. Don't attend a class don't attend a class to listen to the lecture. Attend a class to go get an answer. So you have a question, you're going to get an answer. So if you don't get an answer from that lecturer, you will raise your hand and say, excuse me, sir, excuse me, madam, I faced this and this and this and this and this. I got this response and I'm struck with how to go about it. That is the best way to learn. So that is how my day is. So I face unique challenges in the office. I encounter very, very difficult problems, both machine learning related and software engineering related. And then this gives me a drive to go and get answers, either from colleagues or from learning resources, Coursera, or I can attend an online course that will give me that answer that I require. So that is by and large how my day is split in 3. What are, okay, Timothy, is Siri app made with Java? Wondering how possible it is to deploy data science machine learning models on mobile app. Okay, I really wouldn't know about Siri, to be honest. I haven't done a lot of research on Siri, and I don't know the technology they've used. Nowadays, you can interact with the solution thinking that this is the technology they've used, only to come and realize it's not that. There are so many technologies outside there. And then the second part of your question, is it possible to deploy DS, ML models on mobile app? Yes, it's possible. TensorFlow has a lot of device-driven technology that you can actually build mobile ML solutions. And then Victor Ruto, what are the challenges you face? I faced all the challenges revolve around one big challenge. And the big challenge is machine learning is an experiment. And very few people get to understand that. So you need to manage stakeholders. It's not technical. It's not technical, by the way. Technical, there is a lot of people who are willing to help you, to support you. You go to Google University, you go to GitHub, you'll find developers with much more experience than you. You make phone calls, and they'll help you. The biggest challenge is managing stakeholders' expectations. That is the biggest challenge in the office. And then Stephen Kahara, thanks Ayub for your presentation. I have a question. Safaricom deals with massive data and is prone to intrusions, particularly hackers trying to drop into customer accounts. Does your data science team have models that detect such malicious activities? What is the experience? Security, Safaricom has a dedicated security department that has very robust tools. And you're very right. There are so many attempts, but the security team is really handling that very well. And the technology being used are both off-the-shelf purchase solutions as well as custom AI-driven solutions. The statistics, I think, I hope one day they'll be able to communicate in forums, but I can only tell you the attempts are real, and there's so many in addition. Thomas Kaimba, for one to start a field in data science, must they have programming knowledge background? Okay. Not really. It depends on which field in data science you want. There's been a mention of visualization, machine learning, reporting. So depending on which line within data science you want to major in, it's not a must for you to know programming language. So programming, it will come in very handy if you are going to be biased along building machine learning models. But if it's just visualization, we have tools that even managers use. Just play around with data. As a matter of fact, the most common skill across all the lines of data science is intuition. What can make you that analytical mindset? That is common. That one you need to build. That one you need to have. Yeah. Do you use deep learning, and if so, how much? The choice of technology used should be driven by the problem you're solving at hand. Yes, I've used deep learning to make prediction, forecasting, deep learning techniques, yeah, by building neural nets. So how much? It's driven by the problem you're solving. So if you're solving a problem, like my experience is, you look at several technologies. It could be classical methods, like now the basic logistic regression, random forest, or deep learning, the classical machine learning models or deep learning models. There are advantages and disadvantages for each, but ultimately you're looking at one that will give you optimal results. So if you build the same model with each one of those, you'll be able to pick out which one. So how much? It's neither here or there. It's driven by the problem you're solving. I don't know, Samuel, if that answers your question. Okay. Okay. So I'm not so sure if there is any other question. Oh, yeah, there we are. Samuel, which language models do you use? Programming language, I'm assuming your question is programming languages. For programming languages, I'm biased towards Python. And for algorithms, I've used quite a number of classification, including quite a number of classical algorithms and deep learning algorithms. I've used LSTM. I've used classical random forests, logistic regression, SVM, SVC. The field has a lot of algorithm, but the most important is not the use of these algorithms, but the most important is when to use which one. Because deploying a model, all right, okay. Now for NLP, BART, I've used word vectors. Word vectorizer. I haven't deeply used BART. But I know that in the very, very near future, we are going to be forced to explore because the current solution we have is not performing as well. So for BART, we're not. Personally, I haven't. But I know it will. Application of multivariate calculus 2, apart from chatbot applications of Timothy, I don't quite understand your question. Could you just repeat it? Hi, Timothy.
Oh, I was first. Hi. Good. So the first question I was asking, what's the application of multivariate calculus? Then secondly, I was asking, apart from building chatbots, what's some other use case of NLP?
Okay. For multivariate calculus, you see, this is largely applicable in deep learning. When you look at, because you're looking at understanding of different features and how they impact a specific outcome. So when you look at functions of those features, like when you talk about gradients and derivatives, or in deep learning, we have terminologies like how the really works, the activation functions. These are differentials. These are differential functions. The sigmoid functions, how does it determine its output, the final output? Which activation function are you going to use, sigmoid or ReLU? So that is just an example of where you can use multivariate calculus. And then on your second part is from chatbot applications. Besides chatbot applications, what are the other applications for NLP? We have sentiment analysis. We have logs analysis. So we have even applications of NLP in text, like now product development, review, user review, or product review. And in product review, someone would look at likes and dislikes, or even high five, like now a product with 5 is ranked higher than a product with 1. But if you look at it keenly, there is need to factor in the verbatims. There is need to factor in the verbatim in your ranking. You just don't use the point, the 5 points. Do an analysis of most ranking applications on Play Store or even on websites, and try and compare. I rank 3, but what does the customer say? And when you sort, can you actually sort by the ranking, or the sorting is done by the ranking? Is it possible that the top 5, you might have a very, very well and good ranked customer with a 3, but with very positive words that does not appear top 5. But just because someone ranked 5 and with one negative thing, this will appear up. But there is a very, very positive rank way below. So that is an industry for NLP as well. There is a lot of applications for NLP. Text summarization. So instead of reading an entire book, can you do can you do an ML algorithm that actually does summarization for you? This is normally good in the health industry. It's actually applied in the health industry, text summarization. When you're doing diagnosis of those health it's like coming up with a summary of, the best way to give it is coming up with a summary. If, for instance, you don't want to read a newspaper, can you build an algorithm that tells you, or a model that tells you in summary about whatever it is in the newspaper? So there are so many areas. NLP is a lot, especially in the text, for as long as you're working with text. Timothy, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, very well, very well.
Okay.
Ayub?
Yes.
Yeah, Stephen here. Thank you for clarifying a number of things. I have a question.
Yeah.
I've seen, I think, most your work mostly revolves around using machine learning models that deals more of textual data, particularly in trying to understand customer experience. Does the organization also deal with issues to do with two-dimensional data such as images, in making in analyzing the data, and in what areas particularly? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Those are opportunities that have been acknowledged by the organization as and are actively being explored. And there are so many areas in terms of image detection, removing the need of you producing your ID all the time you need to do M-Pesa transactions. All those things are being looked at in a way that can make interactions with any Safaricom outlet secure and much, much more efficient. So yes, there are areas of exploring 2D analysis, and some of them I don't even know because they are classified until the product is out. But what I know is there are a lot of stuff going on with regards to image processing and image classification, not only image but also voice, because we deal a lot with voice. So when we venture into all these opportunities, we are trying to make the customer's life simpler, much better in terms of how we serve them, and the most important, secure. I think most of you, if not all, whenever you call the call center, you are requested to provide your password with your voice. So that is the entry of AI, and it will move from voice. It is being explored image at our retail centers, processing documents. Like now, if you apply, for instance, your CV and attach, so many people apply. If you don't have a scanner to read through and pass the important information from your CV and summarize to the HR personnel that this is the kind of person you're looking at, I mean, those are some of the opportunities, like I say, that exist within Safaricom. I don't know, Stephen, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Here, of course, there are many opportunities, of course. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Samuel Mwiga, as an NLP practitioner, what's your take on GPT-3? Awesome technology, requires a lot of processing capability. It might not be as necessary because some of the NLP techniques, depending on what you want to achieve, you can achieve them with way less capabilities. But definitely GPT-3 is just one of a kind. It has good results, better results, and it's been proven. It's a technology that can be used. It's like buying a Ferrari in Nairobi and you want to use it between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. The fastest you can go is, I don't know, 40 kph or even 10 at times if you're living in Mayakiri and you're going to CPD. So GPT-3, in my opinion, it's a very good one. But most problems facing organizations, you can achieve them without that. It's an overkill. That's my opinion. As compared to GPT-2, to be honest, I haven't explored GPT-2. So I just moved from what Vivek and played around with the GPT-3 on NLP. So I wouldn't really compare, but my thought is GPT-3 is an advancement of GPT-2. Going with the sequence, I'm not so sure somewhere. It's just an assumption. I didn't compare the two, GPT-2 and GPT-3. Masdin, natural language processing. NLP is natural language processing. So Masdin, to simplify it, is a way of, can you enable machines to understand certain texture or voice the way human beings can understand them. So for instance, if I say, I love this meetup with a full stop, and then Mabel says, I love this meetup without a full stop. You give those two statements to a programming language, they will tell you, these are two different things, and it will tell you, no, these are two different things. But in real sense, this is actually the same thing. So how do you then make a machine understand that this is exactly the same thing? The only thing is the full stop that I added, and Mabel did not add a full stop. So if you use it in Python, and then you give it the equal sign, Python will tell you false. It's not the same. But can you now use NLP to make the machine understand that these are two different, this is actually the same statement? I don't know if that makes sense, Masdin. All right. As long as I have the soft skills, can I be hired and the company invest in me in terms of training to be good in the technical skills? I would say yes, as long as you articulate the value of the soft skills you're bringing in relation to the vacancy you're applying to. The only disadvantage you'd have, Kazungu, is there is a likelihood that your competition, the person you sat with in that interview, the person you're competing with for the same position, has both soft skill and technical skills. So if in the event that becomes the case, then it will be very difficult to be hired just because you have soft skills. It is good to have a little bit of both, but it is important. So it's very, very competitive.
Okay, I think I'll take it over from here. Thank you so much, Ayub, for this amazing presentation that you shared with us. To summarize what you've said, you talked about, besides having technical skills, it is very important and crucial to have the differentiating elements, and some of which you mentioned are being self-driven, being practical, being result-oriented, self-organizing, and also a very important thing is having your individual projects. Then the soft skills which you've insisted on, which are very important. One of them being a people person, which is very important because you don't work alone, you work together with people. So it's important to have to be a people person and have skills relating to people, and also having communication skills, which is very important because maybe the person who hired you doesn't really understand what machine learning is or what data science is, but you're in a position to explain to them what you learned or what you are doing or how it will impact the company and the future of the company. Then in terms of, you also mentioned about knowing the value you provide. Your negotiation skills, very important in terms of salary, because in every salary there is a floor and a ceiling for that a range for salary. So you should have great negotiation skills. know your value, know your worth, and also acknowledge it. If you don't really know much, you can admit it. Then you can, from there, you grow slowly. Then you also mentioned about preparing for an interview, that you should prepare even though you're very experienced. It is very important to prepare for an interview because you don't really know what to expect. Understanding the stakeholders and what they have in their company and all. Then one important thing is to network and collaborate, both internally and externally, as you said. So before I give my final, like a vote of thanks for this entire summit, I'll give you maybe 1 minute to maybe share the last word or something, to tell us something to maybe to motivate us. Some of us are in this field, some of us are starting out and want to be data scientists, so maybe something that will motivate us. I think you've muted your microphone.
Yes, I had actually muted. This happens to me a lot. Thank you very much, Mabel.
Thank you.
And I'm actually surprised I said all those stuff. That sounds like too much. What I can tell you guys is you're not alone. What you're struggling with, there are so many other people who are struggling with the same. You'll be doing yourself a disservice, a complete disservice, if you give up, because someone else is not going to give up, so you shouldn't either. So whatever challenge it is, whether it is technical, whether it is personal, whether it is educational, there are so many other people going through the same, and most likely worse. So you should always put your focus on your blessings. I always like saying that. Count your blessings. The first blessing is you're alive. The second blessing, at least you know what you want, yeah? And you want to go for it. The only thing is you're having a lot of challenges. You don't have finance, you don't have a laptop, you don't have a mentor. Those are problems that people face every day. So don't do a mistake of giving up. Let someone else give up, but not you. The fact that you've attended this forum is a good indication that you're focused. Keep doing that. No giving up. That's what I can tell you.
Okay. Thank you so much once more. It has been an amazing 2 days. Also amazing to have you and hosting you in this summit. So thank you everyone for making this 2-day summit a successful event. We are really grateful. Maybe just to mention, the one we had 2 speakers, that is one Joyce Womoya, a data scientist in Safaricom, Matthew Motiso, a data engineer from Safaricom PLC. We were expecting Janet Wafuba to speak to us, but she couldn't make it. But she said, sorry, that she will share something. So maybe I'll share it with you via email. Day 2, we had Kigen Tembu and also Ayub for the presentation. We were also expecting to have Kennedy Wangari, but he couldn't make it today. So thank you so much. Okay, also for the guys who came and made this event a success, because without the people who came, obviously the summit wouldn't work. So thank you for all those guys who came for day 1 and also day 2, or if you came just for 1 day. I really want to appreciate you all. Okay, I really have to mention that, be grateful for one person. His name is Harun Babu. He's the founder of Data Science East Africa. Okay, he doesn't want to speak, but I wanted to really appreciate him for the amazing work he's doing, building this community of data scientists, not only in Kenya, but also in East Africa. Is very a noble thing for him to do. So I'm grateful for him for availing this opportunity to us and making us learn and also realize the future of in many things, because data science is applicable in so many domains. So thank you so much, Harun. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. Yeah, it has been an amazing summit, like I said. I think I'll share this recording once it is processed. I will share it with you guys via email or via group, the group WhatsApp group. So yeah, I think that's it from me. From everyone else. I have been your moderator. My name is Mabel Karani. I'm a student at JKUAT University, also a campus ambassador for JKUAT University for Data Science East Africa. Like I had mentioned earlier, we are building communities for data scientists in campuses in regards to like a branch of Data Science East Africa. So we are making communities inside campuses. So You can maybe find out if your campus has a community and maybe follow it. This is the link. I've shared the link for Data Science JQuat. If you're from JQuat, feel free to follow and join. Maybe we shall organize meetups. I'm sure this is not the end of such summits. I'm sure you'll have many more summits in the future. So thank you so much. Yes, and I think you can leave at your own pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I forgot to mention my other co-host, Brian Shege, who left, and Winnie Mandela. I think she also left. So thank you. You can continue. And happy Jamhuri Day.